Hi, this is Stacy Catmull, and I'm here with the Shred Show for our Women of Impact Wednesday. And today I am so excited to introduce you to Jacinda Montano. Did I do it right? Montano. Yeah. We reviewed it before we went on. But I told Jacinda she doesn't even need a last name. She's just known by Jacinda. So if you know Jacinda, you are so lucky. If you don't know Jacinda, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. Jacinda is actually another one of our top female producers in Utah. She's an amazing loan officer, but even more important, she's an amazing person. And everything I do, I want Jacinda to be involved in it. And I want to be involved in everything that she does because she just is making a difference everywhere she goes. So Jacinda was invited this year for our inaugural year of our Hope Gala as one of the top producers in Utah and one of the people that we feel is really making an impact in the industry. And we're really, really excited to have her. And Jacinda, tell me a little bit about why you accepted our invitation. What are you excited about our Hope Gala and our new charity, the Hope Hive?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think anytime you can give back, you should take advantage of that. I think the people who have, is my volume coming okay?
Yeah, you're okay. There's a little bit of an echo, but I don't know what to do about it. So just keep talking through it.
Okay. So anyway, I feel like one of the most important things to focus on in life, period, is gratitude. And part of gratitude, which is such an expanding energy, is giving back. Like whatever you give out comes back to you twofold and continues just to continue to expand. So I love the opportunity to be able to go out and just help other women out there that need another, like, women's energy is a gathering energy, and to be able to go out and just like put your arms around someone else, like, hey, we can help you. You know what I mean? We stand stronger together. You know what I mean? We're gonna be together, and we're gonna touch some other people's lives that really need the help up. So I thought that was a beautiful, beautiful goal and outreach to reach out to those women that just need a little pick me up on some stuff. And then also, just being around other people that are, have those same values. You can't go wrong with that. So I love what you've done with that.
Good. We're so excited to have you be a part of it. As you talked, I got the chills. I'm so excited about the purpose and what we're going to be doing together as a group of women to really make a difference in our local community. So we're so happy to have you be a part of it. Now, let's get on to business. Jacinda has a wealth of knowledge. So I actually work in the same company as Jacinda. We both work for Altius Mortgage. And anytime Jacinda speaks, like, everybody just drops everything and listens because she has so much knowledge, she has so much experience, and she's just done really, really cool things with her business. So Jacinda, give me just a quick, just a super quick, like, how long you've been in the industry, how you got started, why you love it.
I've been in there 15 years, actually more than 15 years. I got into it because I wanted to be able to do something at home because it's more important to me to be a mom than have a career, but I needed both. And so it's something I could do at home and be with my kids. I had no idea it was going to expand to what it is. And honestly, it's always this kind of constant life balance, act that you're constantly re-engineering and kind of adjusting things, because to me, it's like my number one job is being a mom. And then my number two job is my loan officer. But, I love being in it because I get to go and help people get into homes, or have them refinance at a lower rate, which impacts them every single month. Like every month, it makes a difference in their life. So I feel it's very rewarding, and it's such a big process for some of these people. They get overwhelmed by it, and they just need someone to be able, like, look, I got you. We can do this, and just kind of make them take something that's so big and chunk it down, and they're like, wow, that wasn't so bad, So that's why I love it.
I love that. And Jacinda, you've done thousands of loans, right? And I think one of the cool things about you is that you, even with all the loans that you have going, all the business you have going on, you're always just really honed in and focused on the individual person. You see each person as an individual. And I would think that that's why you have such great success in your business.
Well, thank you. It does. It grows more and more every year. Every year I do more than I did the previous year. So I last year was, I think, a banner year for most of us, and it was like think I did 254 loans. That was insane, especially when you take out the months that we didn't produce because of the insanity of the industry. But it was, and then this kind of goes to what you're wanted to talk about, and the fact that had I not already staffed up, already had my processes in place, there's no way I could have done that kind of volume in the short amount of time that we had to do it in. I think fourth quarter last year, I did 91 loans in between October and December. And you're not months that you're planning on doing that much volume. You're just like, that's my downtime that you took away from me, but okay, but it was just totally, But I would say that having scaled up and I had that capacity to be able to do that and still have that one-on-one impact with my clients, it meant the world to me. Like, it's my branding and it's what was important to me. And I think it's really what you have to do in order to be successful really in this business at this point.
I love that. Jacinda, I'm going to ask a couple questions, but I think Trent is asking a really great question in the comments. She's saying, and I want you to think about it, we'll talk about it at the end, but with refi slowing and all the low inventory, what kind of marketing are you doing and what are suggestions that you have? So kind of think about that as we go. But first I want to talk about scaling, because I think one thing that you've done really, really well is you've scaled your business. The other thing I think is that we are in this funny place, right? Where we have all mostly had these banner great years. But now we're kind of starting to feel the crunch of low inventory. We're starting to feel, refis are, not, I mean, there's still plenty of them out there, but they're not super hot like they were, even just a couple months ago. And so how did you know it was time for you to bring people on? Because I think last year, all of us were like, oh, I've got to hire someone. I've got to hire someone. But now this year, maybe we're wondering, do I really need to hire someone? So how did you know it was time to hire help?
Well, I think everyone has the same kind of questions in their mind, like the little objections they go through when they're looking to hire someone. They're like, oh, is it going to take my freedom away? Like, I'm going to feel like I have to be at my desk because they're helping me. Can I afford it? Is the other part. Like, they're going to be relying on me for hours. Can I afford that? They're going to think like, can I, gosh, what was the other things they have? Oh God, I can't remember some of their objections, like the control. They don't want to give up the control. That was my sister's biggest thing. And
well, even how do you train and how do you have enough work for them? Like, what if it's slow and I have to figure out what they need to do? Like, I think there's tons of things that people are worried about.
Yeah, or they even like, how much do I train them? There's just so much that they don't understand. And I would say that I told my sister, I'm like, if I'm talking to a new LO, I didn't get an LOA until I had done 100 loans a year for about 3 years. And I kept telling my husband, it's just a wave. It's not always going to be like this. You just take it while the sun shines. And after the fourth year, he's like, I don't believe you anymore. I think this might just be here to stay.
I think maybe we should get some help.
So I was probably a little late in the game and actually that next step that I needed. But, I think if you do 50 loans a year, you need to start working on getting a loan officer assistant, because if you don't have it already in place, one, it allows you to expand your business. But I'm all about quality of life too. And when you're working that many hours day after day forever, it just you're not as good of a person or good as mom and not as good of a loan officer. It's so much nicer to have two pairs of eyes on something rather than just yours. If you're in a meeting, that person's already working on your stuff. If you went to a closing, that person's covering for you, so you're not so overwhelmed when you come back to your desk. It gives you an amount of freedom that you just have no clue that you were missing out on. My sister, she was like totally dead against. I mean, she just couldn't picture herself having a loan officer assistant. And I'm like, she's like, I just don't know what they would do, and I just afraid that they weren't going to do things the way I wanted to do. And I'm like, well, you're the trainer, so you are going to train them how you want them to be. But I'm like, I said, I know. So I'm like, Chantel, I want you to picture this. If you hired me, like, let's say I'm like, hey, I'm done with this. I'm going to come help you. If you hired me to be your assistant, what would you have me do? And she's like, well, I'd have you do everything except for talk to the client. I'm like, that's exactly your answer. You have them do everything except for talk to the client. And that helps so much, because as soon as you can, my assistant comes in. I don't have to even give her a list. She's jumping into my emails. And I kind of sort everything out on 2 levels. So I say, I have to constantly be reframing my mind because it's so easy to get absorbed into your emails. My assistant actually goes through all my emails and she will exclamation point the ones I have to see. That way I don't get lost and stuck and have my time wasted on doing emails that she can do. So I kind of always sort by like, what is my $15 an hour task and what is my $100 an hour task? So your $100 an hour tasks are going to be talking to your clients, creating that relationship, knowing how to structure that loan, knowing where to put it. That kind of stuff is something that comes with expertise and they're relying on you to do. Your $15 an hour tasks, those are going to be collecting your conditions, reviewing their income, making sure it matches up. Going through the whole conditional approval, like I almost never do those. My assistant always does all those. So it frees up your time to be able to focus on growing your business and doing the things that actually matter to your client and to me. And it's a constant, like I said, you have to, every time sometimes I'll start get pulled away of doing something, I'm like, no, this is not something I need to do, and I'll reassign it. You know what I mean? So that's been a big deal. But I think if you do 50 loans a year, you need to get your loan officer assistant because it takes time to train them and they have to be in your office. You cannot train anyone remotely. It's something they have to do. So you need to get someone who is probably, and I hope this doesn't offend anyone, but typically my age group that I go for is older than 35. They just kind of grew up with a different mindset. They have a different work ethic that more is congruent with what you need in a loan officer assistant. And so looking for that type of person who is a self-starter, they don't have to have mortgage industry experience. You can teach that to them. But the kind of person is something that's more important than the experience they have. So
I love that. It's interesting, even as you were talking, like, I think sometimes too, we bring on people or whatever, or say you don't bring on somebody and you're like, you know what, I'm going to do more loans. And this is, I think, even advice for like going forward, like now that, like, even though like now we're not quite as busy or whatever, but we're worried about bringing somebody on. I think for me, it's like, it keeps me in the right mindset to have somebody taking care of all the stuff that weighs me down and stresses me out. And to go out and to sell, or if you're still if you're at the 50 loans a year, right, you're still building your business. To be able to go meet with referral partners or, do social media, like, you have to be positive. You have to be in a great area, in your mind. And if you're not, if you are, bogged down with conditions or frustrated about a file, it's really hard to attract business to you when you've got heavy vibes on you. So for me, I think that's one of the things, because we did hire somebody this year, and it's been so nice to just be able to say, hey, you know what, go do this, go do this, go do this. And then I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry about it. It's really awesome. So, okay. You talked a little bit about,
there's one comment that I saw come in, and someone asked me who pays for my assistant from Steve. And I would tell you that I pay for that assistant and I happily do it. If you think about it, if you're making 50 loans a year, like you're doing 50 loans a year, you're making around 200,000 a year. And if you pay someone 30,000 of that 200,000, and they just took off your plate, gathering all those conditions, and I use Google Voice. So the reason why this works so well for me.
This is really good, actually. Yeah.
So there's 2 systems I completely rely on. One of them is Trello. And I know Stacy said it blew her mind once she saw how we use Trello to work as a team.
That's amazing.
But the other one is Google Voice. And the reason why that's so important is that one number rings my office line and also my cell phone. But I also text from my computer. And I'm sure there's other applications you can use that do that. But what's great is that my assistant can go through and text my client stuff, or if texts are coming in, she's answering them, and my client still thinks it's coming from me. So it maintains that one-on-one, like Jacinda's got my attention, and yet it's the things that she can handle. She jumps right on and takes care of it, and they're getting back way quicker than you can do when you're just a one-man show. So having that group, like my assistant, I have a junior LO. They're both in my emails. If there's something they can handle, they take it on. Like I said, they're only exclamating the points that I need to go deal with, or there's something I should know about. even just taking care of my email. I mean, you know how much emails we get in a day. It's insane. And you can lose so much time that way. But back to my point, I would absolutely make $170,000 a year and have that much help that adds so much more to my quality of life and my ability to grow my business. Then like you're gonna make more by having an assistant than what you pay them. I 100% guarantee that. You are going to, the amount of business you're able to expand and do, and because of the level of attention you can do, your business automatically starts attracting. When you open up that capacity, there's things that it just comes to you. Like I never try to do any more than I do, and it always does. It always comes even more than I anticipated. So it comes back to you when you have the help.
I think that's so true. So you mentioned that you need to have your assistant in the office when you're training them. What are some tips that you have for training a loan officer assistant, especially if it's somebody who hasn't been in the industry before?
Well, like I said, the selection of who you pick is the most important thing. I happen to, last year I trained 3 junior LOs, and 2 of them didn't really work out. And the third one that came on, I was like, I'm not training anyone else. Like, I just don't have the time. And she was just like, she was all in. Like the other 2 people, they were still working their jobs. They were coming in, they're half in, and you have to be all in is the number one key. So this other last junior LO that I trained, I mean, she got her license before she ever quit her job. She quit her full-time job, got her license, and she drives an hour each way to my house and back to train with me. And for the first 2.5 months, I didn't pay her. I was like, she had to prove that she was committed to this. I wasn't going to waste my time anymore. And she wanted it. So she was really giving back already at that point. I'm like, so I pay her hourly now. But she, it's those people who are all in is the number one key. And they need to, and that's kind of where that 35 and older, they just have a different mindset. Like, it seems like they're younger, they want you to cater to them and everything they want. And I'm just like, it's not what I need. But I would say for training, it's because she's here and she finds every day she learns something that she didn't know before. She's on the same phone calls as me. She's shadowing my phone calls. She's seeing how I'm talking to my clients. She's running into different scenarios that she would never get any other way. For my assistant, you haven't even go through a conditions. You know what I mean? Like you've trained them on each piece until you feel like, yes, they've got this, and then you move on to the next one. But just if they're there and they're working that file, and the thing I'd have to say is like it's not going to be beautiful and perfect all the time. They're going to mess up sometimes, and you just have to own that. And we all mess up. I mess up sometimes too. So it's not being afraid of that, but like as long as they're learning from it, that's what that's what we do, right? We learn from our mistakes, and you learn faster from your mistakes than by than just having perfect all the time. But I can tell you that the little teeny bit of mistakes they make compared to the huge benefit they give me, it doesn't even compare. It's worth it. It's worth a little bit of uncomfortableness once in a while. But
so you have them in the same room as you, right? They're not just like in your house. Like, I mean, they're in the same room.
Yep, I've got my junior LO stepped out for this call, but she's over here, and my assistant's over here, and there's a synergy that happens. It's so nice because I'm a broker, and it's like if I'm on the call with the client, I can hurry and hit mute and say, hey, price this scenario out with these 3 lenders, and unmute, and then I'm still taking that loan app, and then also hand over these rates and pricing so that I can plug that in. I'm more efficient with my client. I'm more efficient with my time, and it's like, or if I can jump off and like ask Holly this or whatever. It's just being in the same office, it has a synergy there. And I honestly, if you're having an assistant, especially for the first 7 months to a year, just need to be in the office. I mean, Holly, right now, she's been with me for 4 years now, and she works from home 2 days a week. And that just happened this year. So the first 4 years, she was with me every day. And as far as finding people, I mean, you don't need an assistant 8 hours a day. I mean, you can hire them for 5 hours or 6 hours a day. And that's kind of where most of those stay-at-home moms, they want, like, all their kids are finally at school. They just kind of want that job from 9 to 3, and that's something that can fit your business model really easily.
Yeah, that is really true. So I thought Steve asked a good question, and I just want to do a follow up. So as far as like you keep like what about like realtor partners and things like that? Do you keep all the conversation between your realtor partners? Is it you that's talking to all of them, or do your LOAs develop relationships with your realtor partners? Or are they just kind of more invisible in the background, and you're the main show?
They're all invisible in the background for me. Like I told you, those $100 an hour tasks are the face of business. And that's your branding, and that's the relationship building. Those are things you cannot replace with a $15 an hour person. So it's 100% me with my clients, like anything that we have to call a client for, whatever, I'm calling him. And that's, you may set your business up differently, but when I want them to think about refinancing, I want them to think of me. I don't want them to think of one of my assistants or whatever. And again, the main ways we communicate is email and text, which my assistants cover both those. And then if I have to do a phone call or their initial relationship, as we take out the loan, happens to me. So but it allows you to have, like, if you don't have other people doing that stuff, you only have so much face time. You only have so much time you can do a phone call. And, so much time in the day before you're just like, you're maxed. So you really need other people doing that in the background, especially when you scale up. Like I said, we had the 250 loans last year, and it was, there's just no way I could have done that without the help in the background, them doing it. But I have not had anyone steal my clients. I have not had anyone to answer Steve's question. The people that I hire have a lot of integrity, and they're there to support me as well. And I mean, we're supporting each other, and we're there to help each other. So you would never want to do anything that's going to tear them down, or vice versa. I've been really good on that front. But again, the relationship building is something I protect pretty closely and hold close to my cards. I love that.
Such good information, Jacinda. So let's go to, I think it's Trena's question. So as a newer LO with the low refi slowing and low inventory, if you were in this market right now, I mean, I know right now you're not doing a lot of marketing because your business is really established, but what advice would you give to people who have had a great year, but now things are slowing down? Like where should they be focusing their time?
So Trina, great question. So this is something I've learned, and this is a long 15-year history. I'm going to tell you the do's and don'ts on marketing. This is coming from Jacinda, so trust me, I could be very much wrong, and people will probably disagree with me. But first of all, like, you have to have it be natural for you. So I'm not a social media person. I know people do really great at social media. It doesn't really fit me. I don't post things personally. So for me, social media is not the way for me to go. I paid people to do my social media posts. I got no ROI because it's not coming from me personally. So if you're not going to personally invest in your social media, don't pay someone to do it. So that's my take on that. I wasted a lot of money with that. Newspapers don't work. Grocery stores don't work. They try to get me to do a whole shopping cart.
Oh yeah, on the cards.
Courses don't work. I'm telling you, there is only two things that work. Well, really, it boils down to one, and that's to your warm market. So every person that you do a loan for, you need to make sure you have some kind of a CRM that's capturing and staying in front of that person. Josh Pitts, I remember when he was coaching me one time, was saying how we think that they all going to remember us, and some of them for sure do, but sometimes it's just the person that had called them. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I'll tell you, the very number one and easiest and cheapest marketing you can possibly do is sensations. So
that's right. Yeah. We love sensations.
They have these little postcards that they send out once a month, and you can choose a ton of different things. So there's like lawn care tips, house tips, there's all these kinds of things. It's for realtors and loan officers. Me personally, I'm a cook. I love cooking, and that's just like recipes is my thing. Okay. So they have little sets of recipes that you send out, and people get it once a month. And the reason why I love the recipes, because guess what? They keep them because they're going to maybe make that one day. And they're like, oh, what was your number again? Oh, it's right here. Every time they make that recipe, they think of me. And I've had clients that are like, one of them, they moved out of our neighborhood a long, long time ago. They called me for a refinance. And I just said, hey, I'm like, thank you for remembering to reach out to me. I'm telling the wife in the background, but mostly working with the guy. And she's like, oh, Jacinda, You're all over our house. There are so many recipes with your face and name on it. We will never forget you. And I'm like, yes, I mean, that is exactly. But people get
That's
all kinds of
awesome.
emails, all those things they're inundated with. They don't even check. But
Yeah.
the mail, inside the mail, and it's all automated and done for me, it's a no-brainer. So I'd say Sensations is the very best thing. And again, that's
So
going to
hold
your
on,
work.
let me just spell it out. Josh, if you put it in the comments, it's Sensations.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so my junior LO that just started, I actually had her go through all of her. You have to have 100 to start your Sensations. So I had her go through and send it to all of her relatives, all of
Yes.
her friends, like letting her know that she's in the business now. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that has brought so much business to her, just even doing that. So,
Yeah.
and it automatically, you're now already have that going out to them, and they're seeing you every month. So like, oh, well, Vicky's doing this now, or whatever. So
Yeah.
they're going to tell her. So I would say
Yeah.
that also just, your warm markets is the only thing that really pays you back. All the other marketing, I wasted my money. I don't get an ROI on it.
Well, it is interesting, right, that we spend all this money marketing to people who are strangers to us when really, I mean, just because we're scared to reach out to our friends and let them know that we do loans. So, I mean, whether it's like sending out a letter to everybody in your neighborhood or social media. Social media, if you're a social media person, it's a great way to let your warm market know what you're doing. But I totally 100% agree with that. Focus on the people who know you, love you, trust you. And that's where you're going to be successful.
And that's the biggest thing I've noticed, that may work in other industries, but for lending, people need to trust you. And if you are a cold lead, they don't know you for some reason, they just don't trust you. They feel like you're selling them something or whatever. So,
right.
And I don't like those leads. Like I've had leads where they come in cold like that, and I'm like having to sell myself left and right. And I'm like, I don't need this. I mean, like they don't appreciate, I want to give an amazing deal and also service. That's just not my client. That's not who I'm going for. So Steve asked me if I'm using 2 cell phones, one work and one personal. So the Google Voice, I just have one cell phone, and the Google Voice again rings my cell phone, and I have a Google Voice app on my cell phone, so I can text from my Google Voice. I do have my own personal messaging that can go into my text message on my cell phone. I almost never check it though. But the only number I reach out on is just my main one. My 2 assistants, my junior LO, my assistant, they can tell when it's from one of my personal contacts. They don't look at those texts, but they just are getting the ones from their clients. So I haven't had any issues. I got nothing to hide either. So
even more important, just have people you trust. So anyway, Jacinda, so much good information. You're always just a vault of knowledge. Well, you're not a vault. You have so much knowledge. We'll stop there. And I really, really am excited to share with you in the Hope Gala. Love talking with you. Love spending time with you. Love hearing all that you have to offer. In closing, I just want you to give me just like your number one, and maybe you've already given it to us today, but like your number one success tip. Like, if you could tell people one thing about how to be successful in this business, what would it be? And I'm throwing this on her.
Well, I say that I would say integrity is the biggest thing. I never ever looked, even from the very beginning, I never focused on how much I was getting paid on a deal. It was always like putting them at the right place, doing the right thing, and the paycheck came later. But I think when the person knows you're sincerely interested in them, sincerely interested in putting and doing the best thing for them, they can feel that and they know that. And when they feel that trust, that's when they refer you. Because they're like, hey, I know she's not going to screw you over. You know what I mean? Like she's going to do the best thing. And that's actually how I grew my business, is the integrity. It's the biggest, I would say that is the number one thing I could tell you, is just stay in integrity.
That's perfect. I love it. Thanks so much, Jacinda, for your time today. And we will see you all next Wednesday for our Women of Impact show at 2:00. Thanks, Jacinda.